Hey everybody, before I start this interview, I just want to make one thing perfectly clear, and I want to disclose this to you guys just for the sake of being totally transparent. I am not on the payroll, I am not part of this team, I am not paid in any way or any funding or anything like that for Swords of Blood. I am an investor. I do own quite a bit of tokens for Swords of Blood. But I will also disclose the fact that I am locked up for 360 days in the staking pool. So will not be any type of pumping up or anything like that. My tokens are locked for 360 days because I do believe in this project. I want to give a big thanks to James for taking this interview with me, taking the time to do this because I'm sure he's very busy. I'm sure it would be very easy for him just to kind of shell up and not even really talk to too many people because this has been a hell of a process for him. And I just want to make that clear. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and get into the interview here. All right, everybody. I am here today with a new video, completely different than anything else I've ever done because instead of me talking about a cryptocurrency or a project that I like or that I think is great, I'm going to let a crypto project talk to me. I'm here today with James Seaman, the CEO of Swords of Blood. This gentleman is a 35-year veteran in the gaming industry from SimCity, The Sims, Ghost Recon, Rainbow C6, and actually, is this correct? You were actually part of the original Oregon Trail?
All the way back to the Oregon Trail when I was a kid, yes. I was an intern at MEC in Minnesota. My dad used to ship me off to Minnesota to see, being a California boy, send me to Minnesota for the summers to see how he grew up. And it was kind of cool. My grandpa really realized I didn't want anything to do with milking cows or any of that kind of crap. So MEC was a Minnesota-based company that actually did the Oregon Trail. And he called some guy he knew, and he got me just a pretty much sandwich boy internship. But I actually did end up writing some some code for that game. So although I'm not, on the credits or totally the guy, I was there in the moment that game was made. So it was kind of cool.
Just hearing the name Oregon Trail brings me back to like the early 90s computer
Yeah.
lab. It was like the fun thing to do when you were a kid in elementary school.
And it came full circle, which was bizarre. When I worked for the learning company, I worked for Kevin O'Leary's original company, Softkey International, and then we became the learning company. We bought, at one point, I think we were 53% of the entire CD market in the world. Not like we were making products all over the place. We had products with 30 CDs, like National Geographic. And the weird thing is, it came full circle. Oregon Trail 2 was released by the learning company, and I was the guy who was putting it into the retail stores. So it was really bizarre that I was, I'd been a part of the Oregon Trail from the beginning, and then I was the guy who was in charge of the retail plan for the launch of its sequel. So it's been a part of my life. It really has. I have no idea why. It's been kind of happenstance. I've never really tried to follow this franchise, but I was there in the beginning, and I was there towards the end because we put a third one out in 1999. I think that's the last one I've seen the mobile versions, but I don't think there was an actual expansion from there. I've seen the zombie one, which is kind of cool too, by the way. It's always cool to see people paying homage to the game because, like you said, for a lot of kids, especially my son and people like that of his age, it was the only way to escape the dreaded library.
So Swords of Blood had a really rough start. The TGE didn't go well. The IDO didn't go well. Everything kind of just really kind of fell apart. What happened there?
Well, I could get to it real quick here, Mark. Quite frankly, as a CEO, I take full responsibility for what happened. But we were told we were going to be walking into the crypto blockchain world, and we were going to have issues here. We got to be careful. And well, we got basically we got a lesson right from the jump. Even the people telling us to avoid people were the guys trying to screw us over. So it was really weird. We got in. We have a core game, a very good one. And we thought, okay, let's work with a company, that knows what they're doing. We interviewed some companies, and then we started working with a company who said, not only could we do the raise money, we could do the dev for you. We could change the game to blockchain how we wanted it and how we planned to do it. And that's basically bringing in Web 2 and Web 3 as a hybrid. So we don't lose the Web 2 spends, and we bring all these Web 3 people in, and then all of our legendary items in the game are all tradable and sellable. So basically it gives those people the ability to, when they buy a game pack or whatever, or if they switch characters, they can move their stuff around. It's kind of like World of Warcraft store in some respect, but it's a little bit better than that, I think. It's, first of all, it is going to be mobile and PC as well. But we did, we found out that advisor, although they did raise some money for us, and I will give them credit for that, the high percentage they charged us because we were going to do the dev, it became very apparent to us that they had no clue how to figure the dev out. And to their, I'm going to defend them a little bit, even though they did screw us. The code is, the code's tough. So, but they could have told us that, and they could have refunded us the money, but they didn't. But I'll give them, I know their dev team couldn't handle it because we've had 3 other dev teams fail too. So from the beginning, so we paid all that money to those people, and then all of a sudden here comes this market crash, which we weren't in the blockchain world, and we had no clue what was going on. So we thought, okay, this is going to be a correction. Well, it didn't correct. And then all of a sudden the games people were making at that time, there were a lot of people saying with all these promises about, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And a lot of them just had videos or just, small gameplay or whatever. And a lot of these game projects, and I'm not going to make some prediction, but from what I can see, because I have a stack of cards on my desk, and it's from all the game companies I met at NYC NFT last year. So last June or July, and all of those cards, the only card that's still in business is mine. So the only game of all those games I met is still going is mine. And it just shows you that what happened, I think, in my humble opinion, a lot of people would hire an advisor from EA or hire this guy, and they would come up with this, formula to make a game, and they thought the money was never going to run out, and they were going to have these millions of dollars to spend, and the money did run out. People were trying to actually save themselves. I mean, Bitcoin was dropping rapidly, and then FTX happened, so it really hurt us. And we spent money in the very beginning on things within the game that we should not have spent money on, looking back on, like, changing graphical things and making a new tutorial and doing all these little fringe things because we had thought that our first advisor was going to have the dev. So going back then, the 50 to 75,000 we spent on making the game better, we could have easily spent on just changing the game to Web3. So we got to the point where we had raised the lion's share of our money with this advisor who took a large percentage of it. And so even though we raised, 1.3 million, we walked in total after everything, even the private sale, $803,000. And that's without, making the CGI trailer better with all the other things we had done. So, and then unfortunately we get into the fall when, we hired a dev team. They were going down the thing. They actually did produce one semi-playable demo. And, but all I can say is that I think for us, even in the end here, at the very end of the project, we had hired a company to do the liquidity pool. We gave them a token loan. We met with them in Singapore. And then the promises that were not kept. And everyone tells me that's crypto, and that's really hard for me to stomach. It is my responsibility. But we never expected the liquidity to drop like it did. And if you know me, it was, I just couldn't believe it. I was stunned because we had literally had a contract. We had spoken and shook hands, and we were supposed to launch, and then the IDO revenue was supposed to flow in and it would easily finish the game. And our liquidity person didn't do what they said. They bought and sold our game, and money market did it down to almost nothing. So as far as blockchain goes, I do have a PhD in how to get screwed over. So it is a tough industry. And I told my wife, it kind of reminds me of drug buying weed in the 70s. It's like, it's just so shady. I think you really have to, even a company as big as the company we were working with for liquidity, when it comes right down to it, if they feel that it's not in their best interest, they just bail. And that's a little different on the Web 2 side. I mean, you do have things happen, but on the Web 2 side, contract means usually it's a contract. So that's, I haven't answered your question or if I went way over it, but that's kind of, we feel that, that's one of the reasons we almost are, me and a couple of the guys might be forming a nonprofit organization to help other game developers kind of wade through these, if Web 2 people want to get back into crypto, to basically help these guys free, to help them monitor and walk through this minefield.
I really, really like the idea of
That's
Web3
correct.
gaming with having actual ownership of your items. And I think that's going to be the future of gaming. And in fact, it kind of brought me back into gaming. I hadn't been gaming for a while, but the idea of making the grind worthwhile, the idea of grinding something and getting it and actually owning that. And if you want to sell it, you could sell it. And it might be worth your time because of how valuable this item could be. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think about it this way. I mean, imagine if back in the day you owned Chun-Li from the original Street Fighter and it was an NFT and an action figure in your desk. So you have this, so you don't have this action figure sitting like I do all over my room. You actually have a viable, NFT and a character that is one of 1,000 for sure, and then you also know that you can play that person in game. And that doesn't exist really in Web 2. You don't have that crossover. You do have, action figures behind me that are in the game. Somebody, you don't have like the sword you play, in the game. That is actually the real sword on your wall or on your desk. It's in the game, and then it's something that's also sellable and tradable and verifiable. That's the big one. Is you have no idea at Comic-Con or all these shows how many people sell fake stuff. So these things really put a verified thing on that this is one of 1,000 minted in 1975 or minted in 2015 or whatever it is, minted in 2023. They'll know what they're buying automatically. And that was kind of where we wanted to go with it with RPG people. That's why this game we worked on fit so well, because the RPG community will be the community that does accept NFTs in the way I'm talking about. They don't like NFTs with monkeys and pictures and Tom Brady and all these guys, whatever, and their pictures making, and then some guy's video. They don't. That's what turns them off about it, is how fake that is. But when you can buy an item that is really limited and actually be in their whole like wheelhouse of an action figure or something else hanging on their wall, then you're going to be able to baby step them into what NFTs can really bring to the table.
Have NFTs already gotten a really bad reputation just for being like stupid monkey JPEGs, Bored Apes, that kind of stuff? Like, has that soured people on NFTs?
Yeah, it's true. It is. But those guys. There's some of the stuff they do is okay, but it's like, I think for the real, if they really want this to be generic, they really want to cross over and make these things, part of public conversation amongst people who don't give a crap about crypto, and it's kind of like how I put it this way. It was kind of like back in the day when everybody had like a flip phone and all these iPhones came out and people were like, well, I don't need that goddamn phone. I don't want that big screen. I have a phone, but look at now. My wife can't get off her iPhone. She told me point blank when they first came out, I will never use that, quote unquote. I'll never use that. And now she's got it. Her mom's got it. Everyone's on FaceTime. You just basically have to break that glass and then bring it over to the rest of the world. And I think that's what NFTs have not done, and then blockchain has not done. And once it starts becoming more and more, I'm not to say generic, but more and more public, you'll start seeing a lot of these guys, getting flushed out. The scammers, and people have to realize there's scammers everywhere. I mean, this guy's cheating Social Security checks out of seniors. Everybody's got criminals have an angle. But unfortunately, Web3 makes it a little bit easier to get away with it. I mean, the autonomy, and using Telegram and things like that. But I think that once it steps into the light, there'll be a lot less, graft. It'll be more self-regulating. But right now, it is the Wild Wild West, Mark. I mean, in every way, shape, and form. And we had a huge company literally screw us at launch, and not even thinking twice about it, because they had made a lot of money on it, and they saw, well, you know what? we don't want to do all that liquidity because we just walk with 100 grand of his money. We just bought and traded his token till, and I guess there's a lot. I mean, I told quite frankly, there's a lot of people really hate me, and it's till I get this game out, more power to them. I know they can, but they actually think that this was purposeful, and it's not. I don't like failing. I hate failing. I mean, I've literally had one game in my entire life lose money, one game, and that was Championship Surfer, and that's the only game I did not want to publish. It was with the Learning Company. Awesome game. I had the most fun in the world making this game because we were in Hawaii shooting with surfers, and it was awesome. But I saw this game failing from day one. So, however, this game is a failure because of really bad decisions in a marketplace that I did not understand. I mean, and so now I'm bringing even the guys who hate me into a roundtable. So we're going to have a development roundtable for the next phases of the development with people who don't even hate me. I want you to see every day, bi-weekly, here's the reports from the dev team. Here's what's going on. So everyone is very transparent on, because I feel very confident with this team because they've had the code for so long that they are going to be able to pull this off. And it's going to be good because once we do get the PC version of Bladebound out, we'll be able to put it on Steam and Epic and start making money off of it. So there will be income streams coming in too. So that's also the good part of this situation, because right now Steam will not take a game with blockchain. So I want to make it also clear to everybody here, when I say Bladebound, that's the original game that we're building on, and that's a Web 2 game. And when I say Swords of Blood, that is the Web 2, Web 3 hybrid of Bladebound. And then Swords of Blood will have the multiplayer that Bladebound will not.
Is Swords of Blood going to be a direct expansion of Bladebound? Is there going to be new lore, new game modes, things along those lines?
It's an expansion. It's an expansion in content. It's an expansion in multiplayer, and we will add content to it as well as storylines and more lore. But really, it is important to us that the game, if people don't know, it is a hack and slash Diablo style game. It was very highly rated as a mobile game. Our goal was to make a Web3 hybrid called Swords of Blood, which was PC and mobile crossplay. Bladebound has never been on PC before. It's never been on console before. So our goal was to make this crossplay monster that could be in both worlds and have all these tradable items inside of it. And I think we've had things blow up in our face, and and we're in a situation where now we're raising money to make this build happen. And and to me, in the Web 2 world, trying to raise money in the Web 2 world is a lot easier for me based on my reputation than the Web 3 side, because Web 3 right now, and I hate to say this for people listening if you're making a Web 3 game, but it's going to be really difficult for you to raise money. I could tell you that right now. I went to Gamescom, which is a huge game convention in Germany. Last year at Gamescom, there were 40 GameFi projects, like big, huge section. This year there were 4. And this year, of the four I played, 3 of them were garbage. And all due respect, the people who had the games out, they're alpha stage, they could be better, but these were years away, like maybe a year and a half, 2 away. But one game was actually quite good. But one game was actually decent. And so I think that the money is dried up for GameFi investment until the market corrects itself, and to games like ours actually deliver. So I'm hoping our game will be one of the dominoes that kind of fall as it falls and comes out, that will help people realize that GameFi can happen. But I think what the mistake we made was we really needed a better advisor in the very beginning. And I think I was a little too, I was maybe too, I was relying on people that I shouldn't have relied on, and I didn't want to change. And I thought, but I think in the looking at it now, I think the way we're going to do it now, with even bringing in people who don't like us, and then having people from our Telegram community, and having one side of the seed investors, so having one person kind of be a part of each kind of section that's invested in our game, beyond this development portal board, I call it. So they'll be able to see they won't be able to speak to the dev teams, but they'll be able to see everything happening, literally all the communications between them. The system, they'll use a time management system, and I'm not sure what it's called. I don't have it right here, but excuse me, I'm sorry I don't have it. But it's like ClickUp or anything other people use, a scheduling system. So and when you make a game, you have all these things you have to do. So you have teams that are responsible for this and that. So there's a management system for how the code's built, and they call them sprints usually. And so you'll be able to see all these sprints being done to fix this and to fix that, and then it will all accumulate into one big project at the end. And then you make a build, and so that build will come out. And we hope to have, alpha builds and beta builds of this PC version in a month or two, to be able to show people. Right? People can't play them. And I'm going to give you something that nobody else has, Mark. I'm going to announce it in my AMA tomorrow, but everybody who invested in the public round will be given, depending on how much they invested, a percentage of that investment will be given away. They will be getting free money in Blade-bound PC, and that account will be transferable to Swords of Blood. So we will give them, depending on how much if they put in, we will give them free money in Blade-bound, be able to rev their character up and start their game thing and start going for it. And all the stuff they have and they accumulate, they'll be able to transfer.
What are some, comps for Swords of Blood? What's it going to be comparable to, and what will make it stand out?
Yeah. I mean, we're looking forward to the multiplayer. The multiplayer and the community-based gaming is where we really want to take it. So, to have dungeon crawls and all kinds of things where you get together with your buddies and stuff like that. That's where it's going. So the main play is going to be kind of like in the game. And if you want to put it in game styles, it's going to have a lot of Diablo. It's going to have a little bit of Warcraft, and it's going to have a lot of DOTA. I mean, because the eSport 16-player multiplayer is kind of built on how DOTA has been developed and how its franchise works. We'll have new characters that are multiplayer only. So they'll have you'll be able to play with a multiplayer only character and develop that character up and join a team of 4 people against, another 4 or even others. So it's going to be really fun. We're looking forward to being an esport game. We're looking forward to what I call the gauntlet round, which we always have those guys, squawking in when you play multiplayer. And I come from, a day and age where I still remember, back when I was a kid, I was in this, I'm not going to date myself too much, but back when I was a kid, when pinball machines were popular, and all I can say is I remember going to a drag race, literally, where guys were racing for pink slips. So they would clear the street out, and these 2 guys would get in these muscle cars that were, moving around. They were moving, shuddering because the engines were so big as they were sitting there. And, and if the guy lost, he lost his pink slip. He lost the car. So I thought, why don't we bring that into, and other games have done this, but the gauntlet round is this. If someone's talking to you and you think that you could beat them, you both go into the gauntlet. It's a 2 out of 3 death match, and whoever wins, wins. And when they win, they get everything. They take your character, they take your stuff, they take everything. So you might, yeah. And, you get a chance, you get 1 minute to be able to, for both of you to prove the character's going in. So if someone's overmatched, they can bail. And then when they get bailed, they can, they don't talk shit anymore. But if you guys agree, 60 seconds that these 2 characters are going to go for it, then you play it. 2 out of 3 rounds, and if you lose everything. And then in our game, that could be a lot of money. Yeah, if you go on LinkedIn today, I literally put a thing up on LinkedIn asking for. We do have 2 or 3 dev teams that we're looking for multiplayer, including a team I used to work with, Command and Conquer, years ago. But I just put it up on LinkedIn for the hell of it, and I've got 5 people pinging me already. I said we're making a DOTA style multiplayer. Who's ever worked on something like that, and if you want to put your iron in the fire. So, but I'm stunned. I've got 6 people I've never even heard of. So I guess it's kind of cool because you have 5,000 people on LinkedIn I'm working with. So I guess that whole tree of people, all those it's so weird because you get to the point where in my career, it's daunting, man, because you don't want to piss people off and not taking when they ask to be friends. But man, when you get a happy birthday, I wish they had a reply to all. Because man, when someone says happy birthday, I get 300 or 400 or 500 happy birthdays, and it's holy shit. And so for a while I paid my kids to do it. Just get on there and say thank you. Just say thank you. Reply to all of them. So And now it's my nieces and nephews and sooner or later my grandkids will probably do it for, but it's just daunting. So LinkedIn, if you listen to this, you guys need to reply to all for happy birthdays, okay, or something like that, because it's no bueno when you have as many followers or people you're engaged with. I mean, most people just do it as kindness. I see some guy, and maybe I've never met the guy, and we're just kind of in the same channel. I'll sometimes just click the thing, happy birthday, you know. So, anyways, off topic. Sorry.
So it actually kind of sounds like you have this like Andy Reid or Bill Walsh kind of coaching tree of people who have developed under you.
Yeah, there's been some great, there's some people who worked for me in the past. It's really nice to see, like, and I actually sent him a thing today. How proud of him I was. Got a guy like Scott Cromie who worked for me. He's the CEO of Turn Me Up Games. And Jake DeGennaro, another guy who worked for me as an intern. They moved himself up in the food chain in our game company. Now he's the one of the lead guys for Virtuous, which if you don't know who they are, if you've seen a movie or seen really awesome CGI in a game, well, you know who Virtuous is. They're the premier company for CGI. So I can't be more proud of those guys. And I've got other people who are just all that have worked for me in the industry too. So it's always nice. I mean, I call it my people, the people that brought me up in this industry, like Will Wright and Billy Barry, and things like that. So I see guys like, and then Billy Barry, it's not the guy from my fraternity, by the way, Billy. So if you listen to this, don't pat yourself on the back. It's another guy. So, but yeah. Anyways, it's always nice to work for guys who and seeing Will back when I was first working, first real paying job at Maxis, it was nice to see a guy who was that into it. And he was so real as a person, jeans and a t-shirt and a Karmagia, and he was a huge guy in this Karmagia. It was ridiculous. I mean, it just, I mean, it was like a clown car. You see this huge guy get out of his Karmagia. But anyways, it just kind of, it made me even love the industry even more. And, you run into the guys you don't, that I didn't like, but, Kevin O'Leary, not a guy I personally loved, but didn't hate him. But, I learned a lot from Kevin. I learned a lot about retail, and I learned a lot about how to do merchandising. I learned a lot about sales, and I learned a lot about advertising. So the weird thing is that all those things for the gaming industry, not that they're gone, but they kind of are. Everything's downloadable now. Retail for gaming is kind of like Blockbuster. It's gone. I mean, it's really bizarre. I don't know if you probably remember, Mark, when you walked into a store and 3/4 of Best Buy was CDs and games, And nowadays, you're lucky to find a 4x4 section of PC games, and there are, if I know that, I think there's like this little shitty little wall of CDs, and there's actually more vinyl now than there is CDs, I think, at Best Buy. So their whole stores has completely changed into a different entity. So it's just interesting to see different things happen as you get older, and the changing of games being more digital. It really has helped smaller developers become part of this whole thing, and I think that's great because you can be worth nothing and make a decent, cool game, and put it online. Like a game like Crossy Roads. I don't know if you ever played it before. It's a mobile game, comes from Australia, small team. It's a multi-million-dollar game now. And it's very simple. It's basically Frogger with chickens, and, it's just super fun though. People forgot about Frogger, people, forget about Space Invaders and all these cool games, but then sometimes they pop up with different skins on them, and they're fun, so it's interesting to see like those kind of, again, Minecraft being the huge pinnacle of games that are pixelated, how successful that game is. And it's really just, like I said, we're going back to the fact that if a game is, something's entertaining, it doesn't matter how graphically capable it is. So as much as Bladebound and Swords of Blood are massive beings at 4K at 60 or 120 frames per second, and then you drop down to HD, you're frame rates for the 300, 400, 500 range, but that doesn't mean anything because look at Diablo Immortal. And I'm not going to pick on Diablo 4. It's got some renovations to be done, so it's got some things to be done. But Diablo Immortal, and I'll tell Blizzard this to their face, is awful. It's just a terrible game. It wasn't even Diablo. It was a Chinese game they put the Diablo skins on. So I think they knew that going into it, but people had always bitched there wasn't a Diablo on mobile. So that's the kind of cool thing about us going into the PC side for Bladebound, is that Bladebound has about a 4.5 to 4.7 rating depending on where you go. So critically, it's in the 80s and 90s. So we feel very confident in the core game of Bladebound doing well as a PC title.
So what has changed? What's being done now to get the development of the game right this time?
We just really put big onus on all the dev teams that we worked with in the past. That's why we are stunned that a couple of them did not get through the code. And, it costs us a lot of money. People go, where's the money? What happened? Well, we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on getting a game out, and it didn't happen. And it's on us. It's on me, basically, as a CEO. And we feel now that this is the solution it probably was right in front of everybody's face the entire time, but we were all just grinding to make the mobile version first. And that was not the right way to do it. We should have made the PC version first of Bladebound, and then did what we're doing right now. It was right there in front of our face. We all were rushing to get the mobile version out, and the PC version was the afterthought, because we felt we really were strong on mobile. Bladebound had made so much money on mobile. I think it's close to 9 or 10 million or 11 million now. So that's why we thought we had an instant money, way to recoup all of the money for our investors and really put life into the token was the mobile version. But in the end, the PC version is going to save the mobile version.
So this new dev team, they've been able to give you something concrete to show you they can get this game done, get it out, ready to go.
We did. Yes. And they basically, what they've done is this. So in essence, what we've done, guys, is that we've created this world where we're able to bring Web 2 money in, and then have the NFTs being traded, and then have a other side where every single token is auto-bridged. So if you're coming in with Binance, it auto-bridges the SOR token on Polygon and yada, yada, yada. Well, those were 3 different companies, 3 different technologies. We work with different technologies here and there. It's like we were with Adesco, then we were Stardust first, and we were all these different companies that didn't deliver on some of the promises, or they were behind schedule on what we needed. But anyway, these 3 separate sections, these are all like plug-in like software development kits that have to go into this already crazy code. So this team has basically figured out that working with this crazy code in the PC environment is a lot easier after it's been upgraded to the new Unity engine. So now we'll spend a sizable amount of money upgrading to the Unity engine and creating this PC title of Bladebound. And instead of using 3 different pieces here, we're going to use Altura, which will do a lot of this functionality. And then instead of what our goal was, is that when someone came in from Web 2, they would never have to worry they weren't on Web 3. They didn't have to form a wallet or anything like that. So our initial system would have them pay with Visa. They would create this little custodial wallet that was trading on the web, on Web 3, and they didn't even know it. And if they did NFTs, it would go to the custodial wallet too. So there was a little small problem right there. We had a problem because here's this technology here that is creating the custodial wallet. Now, Adexo or Stardust has to report to this wallet for NFTs. So this is this technology trying to report to that technology within a really weird framework. So that was a problem, getting the NFTs to talk back and forth with this custodial wallet. Well, now what we'll do is we'll just put a straight up Visa MasterCard system like every other game has, Google Play, if it's Square, or just any generic Visa MasterCard template. They'll pay with that. And then when they want to trade an NFT or make an NFT, then the custodial wallet's built by the actual NFT system. So now what we have is, a custodial wallet built there with Altura's system, which will do the auto system of bridging and the NFT trading, and then the only thing the other side will be this Visa MasterCard system. So it's a much simpler process now, and very solvable. And this company's already delivered from our head coder looking at what they're going to do, a very awesome design doc that we feel and they're not working on what's called time and materials. So if you're not familiar with that, most dev teams work now on time and materials. A lot like the old days where you paid them like $4,000 and they made this demo and then you pay them. A lot big companies now work on time and materials, so they basically give you an estimation, but that's just like it's the same estimation you're going to get to build. People build freeways with. You know how much you can count on that. It's going to cost me $1 million to build this bridge. And you know what happens? It's $6 million. So this company's willing to throw time and materials contract out the window and just do this much money up front, this much money here, and this much money built on milestones. So they have to create the game to be paid now. And a game dev of this stature to do that is very incredible. Most little dev teams will do this, but a company this big to be able to do this is not something that happens. And I know people, I got hammered, and they go, well, it's bullshit. It's not. It really isn't. Big companies, call them. It's T&M contract, straight up. They'll give you an estimate, but I can tell you right now, with dev teams, you can take that estimate, whatever time they tell you, add 30 or 40% to that, and whatever cost they tell you, add 80 to that. So now, if they don't get the game out in 3 months, first of all, everybody's going to see what's happening because on the dev board, it's going to be out there transparently why it's not coming out. And on top of that, they don't get paid. And on top of that, if they don't finish the game, they have to refund all the money.
I'm aware that you've been looking to raise money for the new development team, raising $50K. How close are you to getting to that number?
We're at close to 30. We're need to 20,000, and what we're doing right now is we're going to either offer equity in the game or bridge loan at high APR, or if they want token. I wouldn't suggest it. I'm not going to even. So let's get into I would like to address the token situation really quick, Mark. Tokens token for our company has dropped 95%. And here's where we are. We're just stupid little kids in the playground, naive to the fact that we got rid of our market maker, but then I'm looking at the token being traded back and forth. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Who's trading this token? And then we find out about these things that we had no idea called MEV bots, and they're a simple thing, and most people at Web3 know what this is. MEXC and then I'm like, turn every API off, turn them all off, turn everything off. So we're the only people that can have an API on the token now, and the trade has ceased. And you saw, so at this point, there were a lot of people that were using these bots, and they were just driving the token farther and farther down by market making, which is basically buy, sell, and just basically making money off people. We were trying at one point, this big exciting thing to bring this token back, and they were just making money off of us. And I'm so stupid that I'm just letting it happen. And now our market maker will bring the token back to life in a slower fashion, but it's going to take a lot of things. The token has to have buy pressure. So we'll have, before the game comes out, because what we're looking at, Mark, is we're looking at 3 months for the PC, and then about 2.5 more months before a PC build of Bladebound, Swords of Blood on PC, and about 3 to 3.5 months after the PC build on Bladebound for mobile Swords of Blood. So the PC version will come out first. It'll be much easier than a port. It'll just be almost like a switchover of the in-game economy. So in the interim, we're going to do things. We'll have lots of swag online. We'll have kinds of cool merch. But, we're not going to leave everybody hanging. We're going to give people, in-game, currency within Bladebound so they can still keep playing it. And that's kind of how we're going to do. We're going to build up certain little things. We'll have contests, but until Swords of Blood actually comes out and puts buy pressure, we think that we can start that marketing as soon as Bladebound comes out on PC. We think we can start a massive marketing campaign for Swords of Blood to create, a huge amount of hype. That if you want to get in cheap, but we'll have the token. I'm hoping we'll have the token to what I would say a better situation than it's in the next 3 or 4 months, because we'll be able to have our marketing team on it, and we'll be able to trade the token like we want to trade it, not like people wanted to trade it. It's our decision now, not theirs. In fact, I'm probably not going to. I'm going to let the market probably be its own for quite some time. So people can literally not have to worry about that. I won't have our market maker be doing any market making activities until we get the token to respectable. But if you look at right now, if you go on MEXC, I mean, I know I'm living in a fantasy world here. I know there's a lot more tokens out there, but if you look right now on the buy board, it's like $16,500 to bring this token to TGE. So if I spent $16,000 right now, the token would jump to TGE's value. So there's going to be a lot more tokens out there. When we launched this token, we knew exactly what was going to be out there. MEXC's put a hold on tokens being brought into the channel, and I've got to get that removed slowly. So I plan on mentioning this in my thing tomorrow. But we will have, start letting MEXC know all the wallet address. We're going to have people tell us their wallet addresses, and we're going to start letting wallet addresses in, because MEXC still seems to have an issue with having a monster drop to this token. So I think they did it for our behalf. I'm not really happy about it, because I'm not a person who wants to control a marketplace, but I do appreciate their what they did, why they did it. But we're going to try to get those shackles removed as soon as possible.
The reason why I wanted to do this interview specifically with you is because of being in a Telegram group, being an early investor. I heard your AMAs, and I've seen the responses from people who are frustrated, people who are upset about the token price.
Right.
And there's been a lot of hatred towards you, a lot of things that could have been easy for you to walk away from, to just give up on. Your transparency, your resolve, have shown characteristics of things I see in myself and things that I respect. And
Thank you,
with
Mark.
all the things that have gone wrong, I still respect that you're here, you're transparent, and even you're taking the time for me to do this interview.
I appreciate that, Mark. It's been tough, and I understand we have made mistakes. There's no excuse for it, those mistakes. I understand some of the hate's coming from, but I think what people need to realize, and even if you hate me and you think, okay, this is some scam or whatever, look at the game we have, guys. It's not like we're working with an idea and some vaporware. The game is there. It's just now I'm not putting this ecosystem into it and then expanding this beautiful game we have. So before you go out and hate everything, play Bladebound. It's and then realize that when we add the multiplayer and the dungeon crawling and all the different community-based stuff, how great this game is going to be. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. You can, but in the end, it's not one of those I told you so moments, but it will be an I told you so moment for me when I pop a bottle of champagne when this game comes out, because it will be. And it might be more than one bottle, actually, because this is the hardest game I've ever worked on. My God. I mean, because I did this, we only have a small crew of people here, and we hire outside developers and stuff like that. When I worked with a learning company, I had 300 people working for me. When I called a producer, there were, 150 people working in that building that if I said something, it was done. So it's a different world. I don't have, when you call somebody now, it's a little different story. So, and it's a different world than it was back then. And we were treading into I don't even know how to put this. It's literally like, it feels like you're walking by if you're in the Everglades walking along the side of the water, sooner or later the alligator is going to grab you. You should see the shit I get every day. I mean, the scams I get every day. I almost I'm thinking about writing a book about this experience, because I have never seen anything like this, where people would they have pictures, they have an exact copy of an account from my game director Mariosh asking me for money because his car broke down. He's one of my best friends. Of course I'm going to send him money, right? But then I don't, because I know it's a scam. But not maybe 10 people fall for it, and that's enough for him, because he's asking for $300. Yes.
I've been seeing the scam stuff even in the Telegram groups, and in any group for crypto-related things. There are scams everywhere. People who will, DM you and ask for your private information, your private keys or whatever, to say you won this or you won this giveaway. So yeah, it's actually really horrible.
And Mark, I think we should tell everybody, and I'd like to reiterate this: don't ever give anything private away, ever, no matter what. Unless unless your kid's on fire or something like that or whatever. If someone's asking for something like that, it's a scam. No matter what they say, no matter what they do, just take a step back and really think about what you're going to do. Don't ever give out your private information, your social security number, any of that stuff to anybody, because nobody asks for that in the real world. Okay, so just I really hope people understand that, because some guy just recently there was, I think on one of our Discord sites, he was talking about a token. This is another huge scam, by the way, an airdrop. So they're going to get all these free tokens, but you got to give us your wallet address. You got to give us this. And they took 20 grand from him. So don't give anybody your keys. Don't give anybody, and don't ever open anything as an NFT or anything unless you know what it is. Because if it's some sort of program or exe file, and it will go right into your wallet, it'll take everything. So unless you bought it, you bought it. Nope, nothing's free. You didn't get a brand new Lamborghini NFT as an exe file, And I just, those are the people that, unfortunately, that all they're looking for is one or two suckers. But, if you do, please really be careful in Web3 with your wallet. Don't give out your stuff. And on top of that, I'm not advertising for this company, but use one of these. Use a cold wallet. So use a system that brings all your stuff off the web, so it's not sitting there. Okay. Use, this is called Tracer, and these guys just sent me their thing to test it out. It's called Keystone. So these take your wallet off the web. They're here inside these devices, so they can't be hacked. So when I take this off, all my tokens and everything are within this thing, and the backup addresses and all the stuff to get in this, if it fails, are on steel plates inside of a fucking bank vault. Okay, so they're in a safe deposit box. So if this fails, or if I die, or anything like that, anybody knows how to needs to get into this, they can make a new one of these, but they have to have the keys, and those are on metal and in a vault in a bank. So that gives me this peace of mind knowing that no one's trying to hack my computer and get to my stuff. They can't, because it's right here.
Is there a timeline for getting a playable version of the game, be it Bladebound, Swords of Blood, however the games come out, whatever the order is?
Correct.
Is there a timeline for that?
3 months is what they've estimated. I've got the little thing in front of me, and hopefully I'll have some playable before that. Something that can show people the PC, because Bladebound has not come out on PC. So when we show a playable version of PC, it is ours. So I mean, quite in the very beginning, before we thought about reformulating the game into a hybrid, we could have just made the game on Web 2, as Bladebound, and produced other titles, because we're a Web 2 development company. So we have plenty of other ideas out there, and we're not talking about those ideas as much anymore because we want people to think that we're being distracted. But we do have other ideas, that we would like to get funded, up the road that are Web 2, and that's going to be a lot easier road. But I think if I can actually solve this, it's going to help Web 3. And for all you guys out there who hate me or whatever, just remember one thing: if one GameFi project succeeds, and the next one succeeds, and the next one succeeds, hopefully this whole thing will start opening up again for people to be funded. And I'm going to do all I can. I'm going to start working, if I can, in forming this nonprofit and working not only with developers, but working with people who are trying to invest money, so we can put the right people together with the right people. Because if you can get the right teams together with the right people, because I think before it was like just a carnival. Hey, there's a thing on YouTube. It's quite funny. There's like this guy. Hey, he's trying to get money, and the guy's like, "How much do you want?" He's just writing a check. It's funny. And then the guy's like, then it's now. He's like, "Well, I'm going to need your blood type. I'm going to need your social security number." This guy's, it's just impossible to get money now. It really is. And Web 2049 is going to be happening in Singapore. Then another show in Korea. We'll probably be attending the show in Korea. And before you say, "Oh, James, why the fuck are you spending money going to Korea?" Let's bring this all back to reality here. I have a good friend. It's actually my wife's ex-husband. And me and my wife have been married for 30 years, but that long ago, we're good friends. So I'm his +1 he works for American Airlines. That's how good of friends we are. So I fly anywhere in the world for free. So I'll be flying to Seoul in business class for like $11. So, and I'll be sitting with some friends that I know very well in Korea. So the only thing it's going to cost me is a ticket to the show. So that's the kind of cool thing we kind of got in our back pocket. We're able to give to these shows for, little or no money. But the Korea show should be pretty good because it is a Web 2, Web 3 show, and we'll be able to talk to people. But I would like to get this 50 grand done as soon as possible, and we'll see what happens. But we'll just take it from there. But Mark, I appreciate your time. I know it's the weekend for those of you. We have a big, huge holiday this weekend in the United States. But I appreciate your time. I really do. And thank you for the ability to explain all this.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for sharing this with me, and thank you for being open and transparent. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your holiday weekend. Thank you again.
Thanks, Mark. I really do appreciate it. And if anybody out there, I'm at hitboxgames.com on Telegram. You can reach me on LinkedIn as James Seaman if you want to ping me. But if you have any questions or if you have any ideas about our game, please feel free to contact me. Thanks, Mark. Have a great day, Ben. Cheers.